What's up, guys, and welcome back to another episode of Planet Coaster. Today, we are going to be making, the thumbnail probably gave it away, but we are going to be making our very first food court here in the park. The guests are starting to get a little peeved. You know, they really have to pee. They're very hungry, they're very thirsty, so we're going to try to give them everything in one very specific area. I asked you guys what you thought I should put in between these two coasters, the Underground and the Sloth, and most of you, or a good majority of you, suggested we should probably add that food court we've been lacking now for some time. But before we get into that, I do have some new things. You probably noticed the trees around the Underground. I have some new decoration pieces, a new building that I want to show you guys before we get into today's actual episode. So first, I'm going to set the lighting to 10 p.m. It's very important. I know I don't really utilize lights in this game very often. That's because normally I have the time set to just 10 a.m. all the time. But over here at the Underground queue, you can see we have these little lanterns here in front of the sign, sort of illuminate the sign, let people know, hey, this is the Underground, this is the place you want to be. Moving into the queue, ooh is right. I went ahead and put a couple of lanterns up on these walls, and then when we actually go into the queue itself, we have a bunch of the same oil burning lanterns. I just think that's very Western sort of mining theme, so I really think it fits this ride pretty well. But they are strung up all along the queue here up until this point. Here it's kind of dark, and then we got this nice chandelier, and then we get into the queue and we have some more lanterns and candle light illuminating the space. And look at this poor guy. He's really got to pee, and we don't have a single toilet block in the entire park. We're gonna fix that for you, bud, don't you worry. And then, up at the top, that building that I was talking about, I made another staff building. I believe I said I wanted to do this, but I never actually got around to doing it, so it's just something I did off camera. But we have these really cool hooks right here, or I guess they're just called iron rings. But I put a couple of those up to hang the lanterns, because there's the lanterns that actually sit on the ground, and then there's the lanterns that you can hang. So I added two of those in the front. We have this really cool Western rustic looking awning here. Got a couple of windows all the way around. All the windows are different. I don't know why. It just seemed like the cool thing to do. This building is actually our staff building for our other 3 employees. Enough time has passed now where our employees are actually fully maxed out on their training. I don't know if this is a good dollar amount, but I'm paying them all $250. I think that's per day. I can't really remember. So none of them have complained. None of them have said, hey man, my pay's too low. So it should be okay. But now we have a mechanic, a janitor, and a security officer for the Sloth area specifically, and then we also have 3 of those for the Underground as well. Things are going really well in the park thus far. We had up to 1,000 people at one point in time, and then I realized I accidentally deleted one of the paths in the exit line for the Underground, so people would get off the ride and they'd just stand there and not know what to do because they couldn't leave. And I keep getting the same pop-up saying, I haven't gotten it in a while now, I guess, but saying that many guests are trapped in the park. I don't know where they could possibly be trapped at, but I think I've fixed that issue. I want to say it was probably the exit path for the Underground, but I'm really not sure. So let's set our time back to 10 a.m. so we can actually see what's going on. Now, quite a few of you also suggested rather than just having a food court over in this area, maybe we add a much smaller ride sort of in the center of the path section here. So that's something I want to do today. But rather than trying to build my own facilities, I don't exactly have a ton of time to dedicate to Planet Coaster today. So thankfully, we can utilize the Steam Workshop for some of this stuff. So I've already sort of handpicked a couple of the ones that I want to use. I don't really have a ton of Steam Workshop items here, and I don't remember who made them. I'm the type of person, like, I want to give credit where credit is due, but I guess I could open up the Steam Workshop quick. Okay, so these 3 sort of, or I guess 4 sort of medieval style buildings, they are actually made by Tigress Forever. So if you guys want to get the same buildings that I'm going to use today, feel free to check out the Steam Workshop, and you can definitely download them from there. The nice part about using items from the workshop too is, say I really like this one, which I do. I absolutely love this one, but it's not going to fit in this area. So thankfully, you can still modify them to make them work in whatever sort of scenario you're working on at the time. So that's kind of nice. I'm definitely going to try to utilize the windmill because I think it looks really cool, but I don't necessarily want all the scenery and the additional building next to it, or maybe just not even in that position it's in right now. So we can place it down, ungroup it, reorganize it a little bit, group it back together, and we'll be able to move it into wherever we want to put it. But to start, we have these buildings right here. We have one that's sort of like a corner lot type of thing, and then we have this one that's more head on, but it also has a little pass through on the bottom side. So what I want to try to do is maybe put this one here, maybe have another one just behind, possibly over here, and then I want to do another one up on this corner. Then once we get those placed down, I think what I want to try to do is use like the space shot type of rides, just because they're very, very skinny. The base of the ride isn't very large at all, so it should fit in between some paths fairly easily. I want to put that about right here, and then we can do two bigger paths going alongside it out towards this mountainside here. Now, once we get out to this much more open area here, I kind of just want to have a large pad. And the reason I want to do that is because in my previous parks, I did try to make a picnic bench type area, like a proper food court, a place where people could sit down, unwind for a little bit, plenty of trash cans to throw your stuff away, and just a good spot overall to eat your food. You can't really just eat food without a table in front of you. So I'm going to try to do that over here. And then of course we'll have our bathrooms, our restaurant style stuff. I don't think I'm going to do actual restaurant though, probably more so like the concession stand, chief beef, gulpy soda, that type of stuff. And then we still do need an information kiosk. I realize the best place to probably put an info kiosk is going to be at the front so people can, you know, get that done straight away as soon as they enter the park. However, I've noticed that when doing that, the guests don't realize until they see the rides how beneficial a priority pass would be. So rather than put it at the front, I think I'm going to try to add one in over here somewhere. We'll figure that out as we go along, but let's get right into things and start placing down our first building. I'm going to try to do buildings first, paths second, just because then I can kind of configure the path system a little bit better. So with this one, since it's kind of a corner lot, like I said, I want to put it right up here on this corner. I don't want to hide it behind the fence too much, so that's why I've kind of left it out. But I'm thinking, if we place a path down here, we should be able to leave a little bit of space on this side for plants, decoration, that type of stuff. I do sort of regret placing this down. I hope everything's actually grouped together. Sometimes the scenery is separate, but we're gonna see if we can't lower this baby down just a tad. Hang on, here's an idea. Typically we use the paths with the border around them. These ones right here. I do still want to use those just because I think on the edges it does look really nice, but when trying to do something like that over here, especially since these buildings have a foundation of their own, it's gonna kind of clip through the top, and I think that looks kind of tacky and gross. So what I'm gonna do instead is actually place just a small path down right there. We're gonna select this whole building and then lower it down just until that path border starts to clip through this building's foundation. So up just a little bit right there. Perfect. And now we can place down the building there. I think everything followed suit as far as all the scenery goes. It looks the same as it did when we placed it down, so we should be fine. Okay, building number one done. Dude, and I couldn't build anything this cool. This looks incredible. I'm absolutely blown away at some people's creativity when it comes to this game. Some stuff's kind of discolored. I don't know if it's supposed to be that way, but like this bottom stucco wall is definitely more of a yellow than a white. I'm not totally a fan of that. Maybe they're trying to go for this two-tone look, but I think I might actually adjust that and change it to the same white that this stucco is. Let's select that so we can get it in our color palette. Yeah, there we go. And then we can go through and select that. All right, there we go. Now it's all one color. Again, I don't know if that was intentional or not, but I really didn't care for it, so I thought I'd adjust it a little bit. Now I am noticing that this roof lining up here is a little off. Something about this just doesn't look quite right. So unfortunately, I can't get this roof line to move over. So what I'm going to have to do, unfortunately, is delete the entire building. You can see it's left a couple of scenery things in its path. Not a huge deal. We just have to make sure we don't delete the ride underneath of it. Now let's try this again. No, the roof actually is just offset like that. I wish there was a way that I could fix that, because now that I've seen it, I'll never be able to unsee it. You know what I mean? So I'm gonna move this out into an area where nothing else is. That way I don't mess anything up. Okay, after a good long while, I finally edited the building to my liking. I did save it as my own blueprint, but believe me when I say that I definitely gave credit to Tigress Forever for the original design. And I don't think any of my blueprints are even available for download anyways. I'm pretty sure I have them set as like private or something. So here we are, medieval edit. Just to prove I gave some credit. Bottom right, edited version of Tigress Forever's medieval building. So what I did here is totally ruined everything. Oh my god. It deleted a bunch of scenery and the roof that I fixed. God dang it. Okay, I thought I freaking did like the coolest thing ever, but apparently I just ruined it. So now I have to do all of that again. Okay, I was able to actually edit the building itself instead of trying to like add little bits here and there. So the finished product should be what we're after. And here we go, the medieval edit. So as you can see up at the top, that roof line is much straighter now, looks a lot better. And then I did color correct the two-tone that it was before, sort of with that cream color and this light gray white. And I was also able to group the scenery around it into the selected building, which I didn't even know you could do. So now it looks a lot better. I can move it around wherever I need to and everything will follow suit. So let's get this bad boy Billy placed back down where we had it, roughly right about here. I hope it didn't hire other vendors too. We've placed down like 3 of them now. Okay, we still only have 2 vendors, so we're good. Everything's fine. I am gonna leave it probably paused for a good majority of this, just so these employees, these new employees, don't get tired out of not having any business. On to the next, I suppose. I don't remember if the other one had any weird stuff going on with it, like weird roof. Okay, it definitely does have weird roof linings. Why? I don't understand why. Okay, time to edit this one too. So unfortunately with this one, it is actually built in multiple buildings. So it's a blueprint saved of multiple buildings, which that means if and when you decide, you know what, I kind of want to raise this building up or lower it or just move it in general, you have to select all of the buildings. So you have to use your multi-select tool, click and drag, make sure you get everything in one big selection. And then you don't have the option to duplicate it since it is more than one building. So with this one, I did kind of strike out, but with these 2 peaks here on the front, it's almost impossible to get it to line up without making it its own separate building. So that's literally it. There's this bottom section here, that's its own building. This mid section is its own building. And then the roof trim right here, that's also its own separate building. It's fine. Everything's fine. I'm not mad. Everything's totally cool. So we're gonna get it rotated around really quick to where we want it, and we will just have to advanced move and not duplicate because we can't do that. Just advanced move over to this area. I want it spaced equally so that there's equal amount of spacing here as there is on this side. That looks about right. I'm gonna try to leave it in its open area without any trees or anything too close to it. That way, if and when I do have to move it again, I can still use my multi-select tool, click and drag, and we'll be good. So the other thing that I added to this one was actually an additional chimney, because this roof peak on the opposite side was actually clipping through this side of the roof. So now with an additional chimney, kind of covered it up, hit it a little bit. I really like these buildings. I really do. Like I said, I don't think I could make anything that is this pretty. I'm super, super grateful for Tigress Forever. No, Tigress Forever for making these and putting them up on the workshop. I've noticed a thing, and I don't know if it was this way previously. Please hold. Nope. It was definitely that way previously, so I'm gonna see what I can do. Over here on this corner, I don't know what this wall is doing, but it definitely shouldn't be there. It should be right about here. And then you come over to this side and there's a door that leads to nowhere. Actually, maybe that's a window shutter, but I think they were trying to make it seem like it was a door. So thankfully, when placing down stuff from the Steam Workshop, it's not like, oh, you just placed it down, you didn't have to do anything to it. It was probably perfect. A lot of the times they're not perfect, or they're not perfect for the scenario that you're in at the time. So let's select this. I believe this is part of the base structure of the house. So if we move that there, move this one. I don't know if they like just fell asleep or what was happening. This one must have gone here. Yeah, there we go. That looks a lot better. It's starting to make more sense now. Now for this front wall, I believe it just has to go in right there. I don't know, maybe their grid system was getting all sorts of out of whack because of the multiple building stuff. I think it's all fixed now. Unfortunately, I do have to save the blueprint over again. Oh, no. This one. Okay. Yikes, dude. I'm glad I noticed that because I would have noticed it later on and been super butthurt that I didn't fix it. Cool, man. Sweet. So we got, so far, we're a ways in to the episode and we have 2 buildings. Pretty big deal. Whoa. Hold up, dude. I totally forgot about this. It's like a fantasy medieval church. That's pretty fresh. Who the heck made this one? I kind of dig that, but I don't know if it really fits. Fantasy medieval water tower. Like, what, dude? This has to be made by the same person. I'd have to go to the Steam Workshop again to find out, but this is pretty dope. Is it all one big thing? Oh no, the spire is separate. Okay, so it's a multiple building structure again. This is just so cool, dude. Like, the design is so intricate. I'm jealous. I'm truly jealous. I wish I had enough time in my life to be able to make something this cool. Continue moving it on back here, and we are gonna have to do some minor terrain editing, but that's not a problem for your boy. I want it to look good with the scenery for the underground also, so that's something I'm also trying to take into consideration here. That looks like a good spot, dude. I'm loving it. There's so many of these. I forgot how many I downloaded. Now we have to figure out where we're going to put the bathroom. We could, of course, put the bathroom just over here, but I know that one of the windmills, I don't remember which windmill, but one of them does already have a bathroom in it. It's not this one, and it has all the rock on the back too that I'd have to get rid of. I think it's this one. It also has a chief beef, so maybe we can get an additional food stand, but the windmill, man, you can't beat it. Well, you could, but that'd be weird. So back in here, we have our first little toilet block. I don't necessarily want this building in its current position, so I think I might just try to get rid of that. Now this one is going to be a little bit weird because the bathroom block down here is slightly lower than the rest of the area, but we're just gonna have to do a little terrain editing and get it to work. So what I want to do is lower this down so that it would sort of reach where a path would be. So I think right about there looks pretty good. The stairs look pretty uniform still. Okay, so this is what we're looking like so far. It's not too bad. We got some stuff clipping through the fence on this side, but I think the scenery will definitely add to the queue over here for the sloth. And this seems like a good enough area to be able to do a little bit of terrain modification. Obviously, since we are so close to this perimeter line, we're not going to be able to go super far down, but I think we should be able to get something to work. I like it. I'm placing it down. I think this is going to look really nice. So now we do have this kind of weird thing going on with the fence. We're going to use this wooden column right here. Duplicate that. Comes with the basket as well. Good deal. All right, there we go. I just kind of wanted to finish off the fence. It looked kind of weird with this bunting pole just stuck into the ground instead of kind of like it was on this side in the fence post. But what I do want to do now is try to utilize some of this stuff. Okay, I'm going to place it down here. It's going to look really, really bad for a minute, but now we can at least adjust this fence to kind of go along with what we were doing before. There we go. Oh, dude, this is turning out perfectly. So yeah, like I said, in here, this is definitely a little cluttered, but I think what I'm gonna try to do is just get rid of a bunch of the scenery items, move a couple of these things back, and it shouldn't look too bad when it's all said and done. So I'm gonna go ahead and tackle that. I'll hit you guys with a brief little time lapse. I might do the path system as well while we're doing that, but I'll see you guys here in a sec. guys, after yet again another super long intermission, I do hope that time lapse actually turns out looking pretty good. This took me a very long time. I added down our ride that I said I was going to add. Finally perfected the paths. Aside from this one, that one got all weird again. Hang on 1 second. What is this? No. Oh, that's not good. That is not good. That was not like that a minute ago. There we go. Okay, it's all good. Everything's fine. I was gonna be so heartbroken if I just ruined my entire path. The path definitely took the longest out of everything, but as you can see, a couple of people are starting to make their way in, which is good. I'm gonna go ahead and start just walking you guys through exactly what I did, what I changed, stuff like that, but we're gonna start over here at the Windmill Facility. So originally, this was actually a chief beef, but I didn't want a restaurant out here just sort of on its own. It felt kind of weird, so I changed it to the information kiosk. Moving around to the other side, this is the bathroom path. Actually, I'll just sort of select one of these people, and we'll get a first-person view on what this looks like. It's not terrible. It turned out a little bit better than I thought it was going to, but they are going to walk through some walls in order to get to the bathroom, and it wouldn't let me actually drop the floor underneath the existing floor of the building. I went with wood because the floor was wood, so I don't think it looks too terrible, but it's something we're gonna have to live with for sure. I moved a bunch of the scenery around to make sure that we had enough room for our path, and dude, I'm pretty pleased. Be sure to let me know what you guys think about all of this, but I am ecstatic about the way that this all worked out. So moving on from the Windmill Facility over here, let's turn our attention to the first building that we placed down. This one has our chief beef as well as a pip shot water. It was, I think, a Cosmic Cow milkshake. From my previous parks, I've kind of realized people love water way more than they love milkshakes. Didn't have to change really any scenery other than moving a couple of trees back here, adding in a few bushes. We have trash cans everywhere, and I realized the picnic tables kind of lining the path on this side doesn't look the greatest, but it doesn't have to look very good as long as they get used. If these people are about to sit down and chow down on some food, that's a job well done in my book. So the next building, just over here, we have the entryway to, I believe this was a Just Ribbon. Is that what that's called? Yeah, Just Ribbon, okay. It's been a long time, kind of forgetting the names of some of these facilities. And then over here, this was a Just Memento. I changed it to a Looney Balloons because people really like balloons. It's just a little bit better. Now, I know the path under here you can't exactly see, but there is a path that goes straight to Looney Balloons here. These two do not connect. And then there's another path that goes straight into here. So kind of a little T intersection. Again, super pleased with how this one turned out. I hope the line and everything kind of being at an angle like this isn't gonna cause any issues. So far, so good. Now, back behind this building, once again, I did want to utilize this underpass, but I wasn't able to connect the Looney Balloons path with the Just Ribbon path. It just wasn't gonna work for whatever reason. So while you can't walk underneath, you can walk around and through this little bit if you wanted to. Who knows? Maybe you walk up to Looney Balloons, change your mind, and decide, I'm just gonna go around the rest of the building. Nothing back here as far as for the guests go. We do have a staff building right in here. Actually, I should probably adjust this. Max capacity with the rec room perk. Confirm. All right, that's looking good. But all the decoration, dude, all the building that went into this, obviously I didn't create the buildings myself. I just had to edit them quite a bit, but I am so just blown away by how fantastic this looks. A couple of little things that'll have to come through and change. You can see there's kind of this two-tone look up on the windmill. I'll have to go through and adjust that yet, but apart from like little tweaks here and there, this is pretty much what it's going to look like. I think this is about as finished of a finished product as we're going to get here. And as you can see, the customers are loving it. I will go through and add a little bit of decoration in here and in this center bit, maybe along this fence wall, because it is kind of ugly. But I'm pumped, man. I'm super pumped. The last thing that we're gonna have to do today is adjust the Ascendance ride, because I haven't done anything to it yet. I quite literally just placed it down. But I have a sequence in mind that I'd like to sort of replicate. Like I've mentioned before, the amusement park or theme park that is as local to me as it can be does have one of these. It's called the Space Shot. I tried to replicate that sequence as best as I could. So I have a list here next to me. It's high pause, free fall, bungee, shot, bungee. So we're gonna go ahead and change that here. I really have no idea if replicating an actual like real life ride in Planet Coaster is going to be very beneficial, but I was trying to like think of the sequencing in my head and kind of just landed on this as the closest I could possibly get it. But yeah, so anyways, sequence wise, it'll start to propel you up more and more and more and pause in between each one. And then once you reach the very top, it will drop and you will free fall right about now. There we go. Now that it's free falling, once it hits the bottom, it will actually, I think, go back up if I remember correctly. And then on its way down, this time it'll kind of bounce due to the bungee. Then once you hit the bottom, it'll shoot you straight back up, free fall back down, and then one more round of bungee. And that is the ride finished off. So we'll let this test out here quick and hopefully we get a good result there. I haven't tested that yet. I just kind of had that idea in the back of my mind. But there's definitely more people over here than I originally thought there were going to be at one time. So I'm very, very glad that I made the path system as wide as I did. Otherwise, I think we'd get a lot of people bumping into one another and kind of like what's happening right over here. People just walking through walls and stuff like that. Also, with Ascendance, this is the first ride that I'm going to be adding that doesn't have a priority queue. And the main reason behind that is because I really just couldn't fit it. It wasn't gonna look good if I added it in after the fact. This is as good as it's going to get, but I do hope you guys still like it. The ride is now over. It's gonna lower back down to the ground so people can get off, go about their business. Well, the dummies can get off, go about their business. Let's see, 4.62, 4.18, and a 4.11. That's pretty good, actually, all things considered. Prestige of 734. I am making all of the rides free because I want to try to get as many people on them as possible. People not wanting to queue because the queue is so long or the line's backed up. The odds of that happening goes down significantly. So we're gonna leave everything free, but let's go ahead and open this baby up. We're ready to rock. People are already gonna start jumping in the queue. Multiple shops do not have vendors. That's all right. I'm gonna have to go through sometime in the future. I don't have time for it today. I've been doing this, like I said, for way too long, but I'm gonna have to go through and create a new work roster for our vendors out here, maybe hire a couple more that can change out with the other employees and make things go a lot smoother. But with that being said, I do think I'm going to wind down this episode here. If you guys did enjoy, please leave a like, leave a comment, help support the dream by smashing that subscribe button, and I will see you in the next one. Thanks so much for watching, guys. Peace.